And the most wonderful study that points this out, my favorite study on this subject, comes from Northwestern University. Social psychologists at Northwestern, they studied two groups of people. Perhaps you've heard about this study. I mean, it's ancient, 1978, but it's so good that people still talk about it a lot. They looked at paraplegics, and they looked at lottery winners. Okay? And they wanted to know, 6 months after the punctuating event of their lives, what happened to their happiness. Okay, now, first, paraplegics. The interesting thing is 6 months after their accident, their happiness had returned almost all the way to where it was the day before their accidents. Incredible. Now, you're thinking, I don't want to do anything. I would do anything. I would die before I would lose all my mobility. I bet some of you would say that, right? No, you wouldn't. If this happened to you, 6 months later, you would be you. That's a beautiful thing. Your happiness is not about your ability to walk. It's who you are as a person. It's your soul that actually makes this what it is. It's very encouraging. The more interesting case, perhaps, is lottery. So, if you won the lottery, what would you do? That's a typical party game. You want to break the ice with people you don't know? Go around the room. If you hit the lottery, what would you do? It's a window onto the soul, right? I've done it a million times. I used to do it because of what I study. I used to do it in my classes, and I would ask my students, if you won the lottery, what would you do? They all say the same things, right? I would travel. I would see the world. I would finish my degree without going into debt. I would finally write that book. People say that. When young men are trying to impress women, you know what they say? I'd start a foundation. No, you wouldn't. So, here's the thing to notice. They always say great things. Great things. I won the lottery, good things would happen, right? Now, here's what nobody has ever said, right? If I won the lottery, it'd be so great. I think I'd start by buying a bunch of junk I don't want or need. And then I'd get sort of hooked up romantically with somebody who's just using me but doesn't love me, right? And then the best part of all, I'd start a nasty alcoholic spiral, right? That's what happens. That's what happens to people with the lottery. You've read all the stories, and it turns out they're true. Now, here's the interesting thing from the 1978 study. You look at people who hit the lottery 6 months later, their happiness about everyday life is lower than it was the day before they won. So, not radically lower, but they just enjoy day-to-day life less and permanently than the day before they won. Now, how do you measure that? You say, how much do you enjoy shopping, hanging out with family, playing sports, goofing around with your friends, going on a bike ride, watching a game? The answer is less. It's as if the circuits have been blown out by this big experience and nothing gives you full flavor ever again. Think about what you're really looking forward to this coming weekend. I bet if you told me, it would sound really boring. It would be, I'm going to have dinner with somebody I love. I'm going to spend the afternoon with people I'm really interested in, and we're going to talk about these dumb, trivial things. It's relationships. It's the love in your life. That's what gives you enjoyment. And that's what gets blown out by this big experience for people we see in the data who've hit the lottery. And that's the reason that we have these life-ruining behaviors. Because they're looking for the life and it's gone, they substitute it with these audacious and preposterous things, like buying stuff they don't want or need, turning to drugs and alcohol, inappropriate relationships. That's actually what happens. The best thing that can happen to you when you buy a lottery ticket is that you don't win.